What's up guys, welcome to another video. So this video is from last week of January, the final week when most of Moscow's decorations are still up. So please enjoy the video while I discuss this pretty serious topic. Most of you know that no matter where you are, that if you're with people you don't know so well, that there are four main topics to avoid: politics, religion, money and sex. In this video, I'm going to get a little bit more Russia specific. What topics should you avoid talking about in Russia to make your stay here just a little bit more comfortable? While researching videos, I normally quickly YouTube and see what's already available. And let's be honest, YouTube is rammed with clickbaity videos full of nonsense, so I'm here to try and tell the truth. To start, I want to say, in the West, people tend to be very vocal about their political beliefs, so leave it at home unless you want to avoid sticky situations. Many things considered Western consensus are not consensus here in Russia, and unless you're willing to take a risk or you're very educated on a matter, I would steer clear. I'm going to bring up 5 topics to avoid here in this video, so let's get started. Number 1, any opinion about Putin. The first thing you'll definitely be asked, but you should avoid answering, is any question about President Vladimir Putin. On the whole, Putin is very popular in Russia and has great support from a majority of Russians, and lots of them love him dearly. Other Russians who are more sympathetic with the opposition absolutely despise him, and in my opinion, there is nothing you can say, you can give either way, which will satisfy the question asked, and that is from my experience. For example, if you said, Putin did an amazing job bringing Russia out of mafia rule and the catastrophe of the 90s, but I'm concerned with his foreign policy, you could get criticised about either half of the sentence, depending on the person you're talking to, so I suggest avoiding this topic completely. That's why I don't talk about my personal views on Vladimir Vladimirovich here on the internet, and you listeners have no idea what my opinion is. Topic number 2, World War II. In the Second World War, which in Russia is called the Great Patriotic War, the Soviet Union lost more men than any other country, and the USSR was absolutely devastated by the effects of war, and those 20 million dead are rightly considered heroes for defending the world against fascism. Russians have a great pride in their war effort, and anyone who attempts to undermine this are playing with fire. I've heard some rather ill-informed and insensitive commentary about World War II, mainly from Americans, sometimes British, but mainly Americans, and it seems the US education system leaves out the struggle of the Soviet people and forgets the Soviet sacrifice in an attempt to portray the USA as the only heroes. And if you have this opinion, please leave it in America. Discussion of the heroism of the Soviet people is fine, as is generally factual discussion about certain battles like Stalingrad and the Siege of Leningrad. However, I would avoid any nuanced discussion about World War II at all, such as a discussion of the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. World War II is rightly a great source of pride for the Russian people, so speak about it at your peril. Number 3, Stalin. Another topic to avoid, which is linked to World War II. Joseph Stalin was the leader of the USSR from 1922 until his death in 1953, and for many Russians, due to his leadership through the Great Patriotic War, he is held up as a hero. Because of World War II, many Russians do not want to hear any criticism of Stalin at all. A similar situation also exists in the United Kingdom. Many people do not want to hear any criticism of Winston Churchill due to his leadership versus Nazi Germany. They don't want to hear about his racism, his human rights abuses, and his imperialist tendencies. And similarly, because Stalin is a war hero, it is considered inappropriate and rude as a foreigner to bring up anything such as repressions, ethnic cleansing, deportations, mass executions, and famines. Russians know all about this. They know about all these things, and there are many memorials to those who died and suffered throughout this era in Russia. They discuss it, they understand the crimes of Stalin, they understand he wasn't perfect. They are likely far more educated about it than you are, but to be safe, you should not bring it up as a foreigner. Number 4. Ukraine and Crimea. Ukraine is a sensitive topic for Russian people. Things are slowly changing with the election of Zelensky, but do not bring up in any conversation any opinion about Russian-Ukraine relations. Don't talk about Crimea, don't talk about Donbass, don't talk about Luhansk or Donetsk. The Russian and Ukrainian people are brothers and have a long shared history. Many Russians and Ukrainians feel great pain that their countries are involved in conflict and their relationships are strained. Many Russians have Ukrainian backgrounds and many Ukrainians have family members in Russia. Many Ukrainians grew up speaking Russian as their first language, and many older Ukrainians grew up as Soviet citizens, not as citizens of Ukraine, and feel basically no difference between the two countries. Personally, I am a huge lover of both Russia and Ukraine and want them both to be incredibly successful and prosperous. The situation with Ukraine is not only controversial, but also very sad. I would avoid it. Number 5. Criticism as a whole. The fifth and final topic is to avoid any criticism of Russia in general, and this is something I learned very fast. In the UK, we are incredibly critical of almost every aspect of our own country. I have a huge list of criticisms for my home country, and of course, it's a large part of the reason why I'm here now in the Russian Federation. If someone of a foreign nationality criticized Britain, I'd more than likely completely agree. Russia works slightly differently. Russians are constantly moaning and complaining about their country, whether it be the economy or just simple things like holes in the road. But foreigners in general are not allowed to criticize. And unfortunately, when I've had minor criticisms, such as, it's too hot in the metro, I've received comments here on videos like, if you don't like it, go home. And it happens weekly on this channel, and therefore this situation has caused me to completely avoid any criticism of almost anything in Russia, full stop. And I suggest that you keep any negative opinions about Russia to yourself, even if explicitly asked, unless you are with a great and close friend, because you're just asking for trouble. So guys, that's the end of this very long video about 5 topics to avoid when coming to Russia, and I'm sure I've missed some out, and I have no doubt that some of you will even disagree with me, but all of this comes from a place of personal experience and pure love for Russia and the Russian people. So thank you very much for getting this far. Please give me a subscription for more of this stuff in the future. Thank you very much, and goodbye.